Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Mechanism I'll need.
Okay. What's your, hold on one second.
Sure.
Yeah, right on. So you've got a fairly wide door that's somewhat short, inch and a half to inch and 3/4. You're looking at a Rixson 128, and it's quite light in the world of pivots. So what's happening? Tell me. Talk to me.
Yep. So I just want to know if that'll work. I know the specifications are for a door not quite that wide. So I didn't know if that was a constraint. Obviously, the weight is not an issue.
Well, if you're going to write the exam and then turn it into the grader, you're going to get points off. It's the wrong hardware because you're outside of what it's engineered for. What the cut sheet specifies this has been tested with. So the technical answer is no, it's the wrong pivot hardware. Having said that, will it work? Yeah, of course, like a champ. Are you going to kick it over from the pivot style at all?
No, it's going to be center mount. It's going to be, when I say center mount, it'll be right through the center of the door.
And as close to the pivot style as possible.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it will work. I mean, I would prefer that you used a 370 because it will certainly compensate for that wider material. If it's for you, go with the proper pivot. That would be a 370 from Rixson.
Okay, and then the other question I had was in the way of stops. Obviously, if it's rotating in the center, how do you keep it continuing to rotate and what the options are? And that one I hadn't seen much in the way of literature.
Of stops?
Well, yeah. I mean, in terms of like magnets, tension, tabs, I mean, what options or ways to consider doing that?
Well, the stop of the frame, are you going to have stops on your cased opening frame?
I'm open. I just didn't know what the options are that you've seen with it.
Okay. Sure. Is this an exterior opening or interior?
Interior. It's a closet.
Okay. Okay. So you could absolutely apply. Generally, what would happen is you're going to use a center hung pivot. You are then going to use a piece of hardware. Probably. How are you going to latch the door in the closed position?
Well, that's the question. We hadn't really figured that out.
Okay, so you'll have the pivot on one side. You can have a roller latch that will incorporate an angle stop so that it will not only stop the door but keep you latched in the closed position. And then you can install you can mortise to the edge of the door an edge pull, a very petite piece of hardware that will be awesome. And that's how this kind of opening is generally specified because it's single acting.
Okay, so I'm familiar with the roller latch. I'm not sure what an edge pull is.
So, since we're talking Rixson, let's stay under the ASA Abloy umbrella. And the part number that you would look for would be, are you in the website now?
No, but I'm making some notes as we talk about it.
Yeah, so the item you would look up would be the Rockwood part number 885.
Okay. So
tell me about your door. What kind of door are you hanging?
Well, it's going to be a custom door, and it's basically going to be plywood center with a veneer of a hemlock wrapping it. Okay.
And how thick is the hemlock plywood itself? Is it, or are you just putting like 50,000 or no black line down, or?
Yeah, it's just going to be. I mean, the veneer is basically tongue and groove, 6-inch, 1x6, and then
how thick is it? 3/4?
Yeah, in reality, it's really about 3/4. Yeah.
Okay.
3/4
yeah,
to 5/8.
That's going to be cool. And what I was driving at is if you imagine your door in cross section, or think of it in plan view. When you run your router over to bullnose that one edge, if you didn't have sufficient thickness of what you're applying to your plywood, you would end up being able to see the strata, the two different layers of material. But it sounds like you're not going to, with your round over bit, get into the core of what you're applying that tongue and groove to. So that'll work out really nice.
Yep. And then do you know what the difference in the base plate of the pivot between the 170 and 370 is?
You mean the 128 and the 370?
Yes, the 128, sorry, and the 370.
The difference, you mean like dimensionally?
Yes.
I don't off the top of my head, but they're quite similar. The 370 would, if anything, would be slightly larger, but it just has a far more substantial spindle and bearing packet that would be there, because I think that one's rated for 500 pounds. Right,
that's right. I'll take a look at it, because that's the only other consideration. I would get the 370, but just so you know, we have heated floors there, and they're tiled. The contractor left space, roughly 3 inches in the floor for the pivot, so I just want to make sure it's going to meet, those requirements, and we just a cutout.
I don't think it's going to. If they've left 3 inches from the pivot jam, they've not left enough room for any hardware.
Well, 3 inches in the center around, he said 3, so and he hasn't marked it, but I need to see, again, how big the mechanism is.
Yeah, I would urge you to not pierce the floor, because any problem with that heated floor, the rope's around your neck. And I say this because I've been in construction for 3 decades, my family for 8, and I've had a heated floor, and it didn't go bad, but I've been involved in heated floor projects. My recommendation would be that you would go with a pivot that would be mortised to the jam and only rests on the top of your floor. But if you have assurances there's adequate room given around, yeah, just pulling up the Rixson 370 cut sheet will show you those dimensions. It's very much in the ballpark.
Okay, so I like what you said before, where it's mortised in and just rest on there. Which pivot in that scenario would be the best for the application?
Well, the problem is we're not going to have one that's going to give us the weight capacity that we would like, but Rixson has their part number, I forget. It would be nice to have permanent recall of all these part numbers.
Well, do you remember the style or the number?
That's what I'm looking up.
Yep.
Okay. So that part number would be a 117-1/4. A 117-1/4.
Okay. And so what are the problems with using that? Because you didn't sound like you were too enthused about that.
Well, I don't like it only because, you're in excess of the 42-inch width that is specified from the manufacturer. You're talking to someone who, tells someone a part number based on, what the manufacturer says it's been tested at. So knowingly telling you to use a pivot for a door that you've got a door that's wider than what it allows is technically incorrect. Now, Rixson material is notoriously over-engineered. Speaking practically as an installer, as someone who's machined and installed, you're not going to have any problem. So,
and do they have a heavier duty one like the 120 to 370, or that's the only one they have?
Yeah, so let's back up completely. And as I'm scrolling through, I had forgotten about their 195. So what you want is the 195 by Rixson. It is rated for 450 pounds and for doors up to 4 foot wide. And I would not stress over the 4-inch variance that you're dealing with. You don't pierce the floor at all, which is nice. It's the only downside of it is when your door is in the open position, you'll be able to notice the portion that's mortised to the jam.
Yep.
But when the door is in the closed position, you'd have to go out of your way to see it.
Yep. I think that's what we're looking for. I think that's the best solution for us. And I think that'll work. I'll take a look at a practical side of the schematics, but I think that's probably more of what we want. And it still would work the same with the roller latch, right?
Absolutely.
And then you'd suggest, and I'll look at the part that's Rockwood 885 as well.
Yeah, that's just a edge pull. There's lots of variations on edge pulls. That's one that people, when you're doing a center hung closet door, why? You want the hardware concealed, center hung pivot, roller latch, that edge pull. It's like Chicago hot dog is going to have mustard, it's going to have relish, it's going to have a pickle. So you'll always get that. Yeah.
Yep. All right. I think that helps tremendously. I appreciate the information, and I'll place the order. And what's the lead time you think on that?
Depends on the finish. What color are you looking for?
Like a satin chrome or satin nickel.
That's nothing but net from half court. That's always going to be in stock.
Okay. So, and you're based in Florida, right?
Well, my office is in Southern Florida, but we have this material in stock East Coast, Midwest, and probably somewhere on the West Coast. Okay,
because that's what I was getting at. It's like, well, it'll take about a week to get it, or, I mean, give or take a normal standard delivery. I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, yeah, it'd be about a week. I mean, it'll either come out of, it won't come out of Florida because I don't keep them here. It'll either come out of Pennsylvania or Chicago or Illinois.
Okay. All right, because I want to, I'll just go place the order then today.
Thank you, sir. My name is Richard.
Yep, appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.